Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Dave Palma Show. And on this episode, I have with me the Bipolar Rabbi, Alfredo Borodowski.
Hello, everybody. Nice being here, Dave.
Hey, nice to have you here, Alfredo. I know you have a nice story to tell everyone. The Bipolar Rabbi sounds a very confusing kind of name to put together, so I'm sure the story will put everyone's confusion at bay eventually. But where are you from, or where are you residing now?
Well, I was born in Argentina, in Buenos Aires.
Okay, Buenos Aires.
My grandparents came to Argentina from Poland.
Yeah.
As immigrants, as Jewish immigrants.
Yeah.
And my parents were born in Argentina. I lived in Argentina until the age of 20.
Oh, your parents was born in Argentina as well?
Yeah, my parents are native of Argentina.
Okay.
Buenos Aires. I went to Israel on my 20 when I was 20 years old to finish rabbinical school. Mm-hmm. And then I met my wife, Shira, who was also studying to be a rabbi.
Okay.
Then we met in Jerusalem. That's a nice place.
Okay, I've never been there. I heard Tel Aviv is nice as well.
Well, I love Tel Aviv too, the beach.
Yeah.
But I spend most of my time in Jerusalem. And she's from the States, my wife. Then I follow her to the States. And I've been in the United States for the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then I am a Jewish Latin American,
okay.
an American, a U.S. American. I have multiple great identities. I draw wisdom from.
Yeah. No, great. I mean, I'm kind of from a mixed cultural background as well. So, but born and raised and lived in UK for literally most of my life. Although I semi-retired out in the Philippines because my wife is from there, and I've got a 7-year-old daughter at the moment. But we're about to repatriate back to the UK. So always born and bred Londoner, really. But yeah, my mum's from the Caribbean. My dad's from island in the Indian Ocean, just in the southeast of Africa, called Mauritius. So yeah, it's quite interesting. So let's get to your story now. And our listeners have learned a little bit about geography and a few other things here, but that's not what we want to really learn about. We just want to find out what happened to you, because obviously you trained to be a rabbi and you're called the Bipolar Rabbi. So we want to find out the story of how you got that name. So tell us your story.
Yeah, before I was the Bipolar Rabbi, before I became the Bipolar Rabbi, I was called the Road Rage Rabbi. The
Road Rage Rabbi.
Okay?
Is that from your car, is it?
Yes, I tell you the story. There are three kinds of rabbis in Alfredo. There is the rabbi that the original rabbi, the congregational rabbi that became the Road Rage Rabbi and ultimately redeemed himself as the Bipolar Rabbi. Then in 2013, on June 19th, I was arrested.
2013, June 19th.
2013, on June 19th, I will never forget that date, around 10 a.m. in the morning, because my life was turned around into complete chaos.
Right.
Then I was arrested for impersonating a police officer.
Yeah.
What happened, Dave, is that I was manic, and I didn't know that I was manic.
Yeah.
And I was given a antidepressant, depressant. Then I was depressive. Then I was manic and taking an antidepressive drug at the same time. And my mania went through the roof. And one of my congregants gave me as a present a police badge. He was kind of courtesy police badge because he was a retired policeman.
Right.
Then with my mania, my wrong prescription, my grandiosity, and my badge, I began directing traffic on the road, on the highway. I didn't arrest anybody, I didn't touch anybody, but I will show my badge, and I will tell people drive more carefully, drive on this side of the road, stop texting. And until one day, I had the fortune of showing my badge to the girlfriend of a policeman on the town of Mamaroneck. You know,
on the what?
Town of Mamaroneck in Westchester.
Yeah.
Then of hundreds of cars on the road, I chose the girlfriend of the policeman in town. And 2 minutes later, I was arrested by him. And within 2 weeks, I was arrested. I was hospitalized on a psychiatric ward. I was diagnosed bipolar. I was fired from my job. I was hospitalized again. And the press had a circus out of me because I was a rabbi, and they baptized me as the road rage rabbi, and I was on the front page of newspapers from Japan to Ireland. Okay,
wow.
Dave, I had not touched anybody. I had not bought a uniform of police on Amazon, and impersonated the police. I just showed a badge that should be illegal, by the way, Dave, because why policemen, at least in the United States, are allowed to give to their friends and family a small replica of their badge. What's the purpose of that? The purpose is for their families and friends to be showing it and get out of trouble, okay, but and get favors, okay. That's terrible, and that should be illegal, okay. And then my life within 2 weeks fell apart. I had a new, I was bipolar, I was unemployed, and I was the mockery of the press. And for 2 years, I struggled with depression. I had 4 cases in 4 different courts for impersonating a police officer. But through positive psychology, which is what I teach today and I coach people, which is the psychology of the strength, finding the strength in yourself, I got out of the pit. I went back to school and became a social worker.
Okay, yeah.
And I transformed the road rage rabbi into what I am today, the bipolar rabbi. Yeah. And I am actually proud of who I am. Yes. And my mission is to help people with mental illness to achieve their full potential.
Yes, no, absolutely. No, I think that's pretty good that you've managed to turn it around, and actually you've really kind of philosophized, the whole thing, to embracing, the mental health side of it, and actually making it a positive thing. That kind of the saying. It's, I don't know if that's a saying that you like. It's okay not to be okay, or anything like that. Is that kind of?
Well, look, my belief is that people with mental illness have a special wisdom. Mm-hmm. We go through struggles and challenges and experiences that very few people know.
Yeah.
What we have not yet learned is to translate that experience into life lessons. We convince ourselves of being defective. We convince ourselves of being in disadvantage, which in many ways, clearly we are, because we got to struggle. But every struggle, every challenge is an opportunity for wisdom.
Right.
And I believe that people with mental illness have not yet exploded, maximized their potential. Actually, I believe that there is an advantage on mental illness.
Right. Okay.
And we have not yet articulated, draw that wisdom from mental illness. I do believe that people with mental illness are particularly wise people. Clearly, if you are in the midst of crisis,
yeah,
it is very difficult to draw wisdom from it. But people who are mentally ill and are functional, or people who are mentally ill and are in moments of functionality, because we go through different periods, our task is now to translate that experience into wisdom for ourselves and for society.
Yeah. Well, tell us that moment when you, well, I mean, first of all, obviously you lost everything, and including, obviously you was a rabbi. So is that the job you lost, being a rabbi in the community?
No, actually, I had two jobs at that point. I was the executive director of the largest adult education program in the area. I have over 600 people studying in the center I led, and I had a small congregation on the side, congregation Sulam Yaakov, Jacob's Ladder, and I must tell that my congregation stood by me. They stood by me, and I remained as a rabbi. They understood mental illness. They understood who I was. They understood the circus of the media. They stood by me. They embraced me for who I am. Then I tell you, the power of community, of good community, of sacred community, of community of compassion. I am a survivor through the love of people who gave me the chance and opportunity to remain the rabbi despite all odds.
Yeah.
I indebted to them. They understood that spirituality is made of light and darkness.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's great. So the other thing is you've managed to turn it around, looked at positive psychology. Did you look at it for yourself first? I mean, what happened there before you actually started teaching it and making it your kind of profession, if you like?
Well, you know, the way it worked, I learned about positive psychology, which I mentioned before. It's a psychology that draws on the strength of people. Okay, not on trauma, but strength.
Yeah.
Then I took a class, and I took what is called the VIA, the Values in Action instrument, which anybody can take for free in viainstitute.org, or I think VIA Institute, VIA institute.com, either or CAM. And then I took the VIA instrument and gave me my 5 top strengths, which are creativity, curiosity, love of learning, perseverance, and bravery. And once I learned my strengths, Dave, my outlook about myself changed radically from seeing myself as mentally ill and defective and somebody who had violated the law and a mockery of the press. By learning my strengths, my outlook changed. And the question is, how am I going to use my strengths, to turn my life around? Then you know, research shows that 2/3 of people do not know their own strengths. They can't name their strengths. There is a pervasive strength blindness. Can you imagine all the potential that is lost and wasted by people not knowing their own strength? Then what I do in my work is actually making people aware of their own strengths, articulating their own strength, finding their own strength. And I see miracles taking place. Once a person knows, oh, really? I have curiosity. I have humor as my strength. I didn't know it. And when they know it, they execute it more frequently, they execute it more fluently, and they have objectives for them. Then on mental illness, above all, where people feel lost and feel disempowered, the journey of just finding what your strengths are is redeeming. And that was my journey, finding my strength, not dwelling on my weakness. It was deeply transformative.
Yeah. No, so that you make that transformation yourself then first, which obviously is a normal thing. A lot of coaches do that. And it's, I think even a lot of counselors, they have to actually go through counseling themselves, as part of the training, so it's kind of good that you have that background. It's better. And then you set up your practice straight after that, or?
I teach a lot.
Yeah.
I blend positive psychology with spirituality. Then I look at the person in a holistic way.
Yeah.
I look at the core issues of the existential challenges of the person, especially with mental illness, like uncertainty, self-esteem, sense of shame. But I also look at acceptance, and I look at the strength of the person. I am coming up a book. I am publishing a book.
All right.
It's coming out in a few months. The title of the book is "The Wisdom of Mental Illness."
Yeah.
Finding strength in your struggles.
Yeah.
Then exactly what I'm saying to you, there's wisdom in mental illness and there is strength in mental illness. And what this book has is special about it is that on each chapter you have links. Then you click on the link and you are sent to a special website where the reader can share his or her own ideas, stories, quotes. And the purpose is that to create a collective wisdom of people with mental illness and then publish another work where all that wisdom is collected from the readers and delivered to society. And to make sure that people with mental illness are seen by society as life coaches, as coaches of wisdom, then it's a fully interactive book where people are invited to, there are 14 chapters. I explained some of them, self-esteem, shame, prayer, diagnosis, all of them an invitation to participate. This is not my book. This is our book.
Right.
And I think it's the only one of its kind where I'm trying to collect the wisdom of the mentally ill and move us from this sense of being disempowered to ending stigma by showing the value we can bring and the wisdom we can bring to society. Because the way to destroy stigma is not by begging other people to treat us well. It's not by begging. I don't like that.
No.
It's by showing our value, that we have something of value to share. And that's my way of fighting stigma. But, for those who want the book, by the way, let me just tell them how to get it. I have a website. It's Bipolar Rabbi.
Yeah.
Okay, the word bipolar and then Rabbi next, together with it.
Yeah.
Then you have two R's, the R of bipolar and the R of Rabbi. And Rabbi with two B's, BBI.com. Bipolarrabbi.com. I have a weekly newsletter on all these issues I'm talking about. And I am going to make, the book also announced when the book comes out on the website. And it's going to be very cheap. Okay, I had to charge something because Amazon demands that you charge something. But the idea is full participation. Okay, then it's going to be very available. Let's create a community of wisdom. Let the voice of people who live behind doors in the rooms lonely through mental illness to come out with their message, their valuable message. That's my quest, Dave. That's my quest, to bring the message of wisdom on mental illness to the world. If I can get just a few hundred people to become active and to deliver, to share the message, we can begin changing the negative view of the mentally ill.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's so many different types of mental illness, and there's a spectrum as well. And I mean, like, there's people you would never think have anything, and then they commit suicide just like that. You know, it's things like that, and so it is a serious subject and a very serious topic. We need people like yourself, Alfredo, to do this work out there, really, don't we?
Well, people, if you look at the media, people, very famous people, many famous people. I follow boxing, by the way, and
I like boxing. Yeah,
I am an MMA fighter, by the way. I do MMA,
oh, okay,
mixed martial arts.
Yeah. I know MMA. Yeah,
I do that. The Rabbi who does MMA. And,
that'd be a new name for you, the MMA Rabbi.
Then there is this boxer I used to follow, Adrian Bronner.
Right.
Okay. Adrian Bronner was a great prospect. He has been a champion in 4 divisions. And he just last week had a fight, a very important fight, and he decided not to fight. And the reason is mental health reasons.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a lot of sports people doing it now.
Yeah, and it's not, this is a boxer, a person who's supposed to, I am a boxer, I am strong, I am infallible. I can, no, he had the wisdom and courage to say, I cannot step into a ring because I am not mentally up to it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he did it with grace, and he did it without apologizing. Yeah. And we are seeing, Dave, more and more of this. Yeah. Of this. That's
we got a heavyweight boxer called Tyson Fury.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who had mental health issues and almost didn't box again, but now he's kind of came back again, and it's doing well.
And a heavyweight.
Yeah, and he's outspoken about mental health, depression and everything, so.
Then he's there. It's every, there is not one time I talk with a person about mental illness who doesn't tell me a relative or a friend. Okay, then we are not talking about a marginal issue. That's why we had to transform it into a positive force.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why we need to find its wisdom, because it's here with us, and we either make wisdom lemonade out of mental illness, or we are brought down with it.
Yeah.
I've been hospitalized 5 times. Okay, short periods, 1 week, 10 days. But I tell you, each time I've been hospitalized with people in the ward, in the psychiatric ward, I have learned from those people so much about life, so much about compassion, about stamina, resilience.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. Each time I've been in a psychiatric ward, and I was highly functional. Okay, clearly I was highly functional. I took it as a life opportunity because I learned about human nature and stamina within those 10 days, more than what I learned in months outside. But nobody's writing about it. Nobody's asking people who were in a mental health, in a psychiatric ward, okay, tell us what you learn about yourself. Tell us what you learn about others. Tell us what about being a community of people who are in fear and uncertainty. How do you deal with uncertainty? Okay, how do you deal with suddenly having lost your freedom? Okay, and going back to the world, there is so much wisdom. Now, when I went out of my last psychiatric ward hospitalization, I went to a program, and what do they ask me, Dave? What is your style of anger? What is your style of fighting? How to improve your communication? Those were the workshops. Anger, fighting, and lack of communication, which I understand are issues in mental illness. But nobody asked me, what wisdom can you teach to the world? What do you learn in the last 10 days you were in the psychiatric ward? What is your view of resilience and bravery and perseverance that you had learned from your journey? Nobody asked me anything positive about what I have to share positively about my experience. Everything was about the negative. Everything about what is wrong. Everything about how we are defective. Nobody gave me credit or gave credit to anybody who went through 10 days or a month or 3 months of being in a ward about what that experience has taught you about the value of life and wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay. The questions must change.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, I can appreciate that as well. There's so much to said about, negativity and, being around a negative crowd of people, it's not good. And it's to do with the neurons in the brains as well. It's kind of
exactly. I mean, we know from research by Barbara Fredrickson and Edmund Barbara Fredrickson that for each negative, you need 3 gratitudes or 3 positives to balance it.
Right. Yeah.
The negative is always stronger than the positive.
Yeah.
You need 3 good ones for each negative ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Then every time we use negative language or negative approaches, we are making the process of redemption and the process of spiritual fulfillment more difficult.
Yeah, it's like you're putting a weight on it. You've added a little weight, and you've kind of like drawn it back down again, kind of thing.
That's why I am in positive psychology on the psychology of the strength.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I'm looking at the sort of coaching I look at is a lot on neuroscience, neuroplasticity and then things like that, and it does make a lot of sense, really. So yeah, no, great. So what is so you got your book coming out now, and how do people find your coaching practice and then what you're doing now? How can people? You said your website.
My website has my story, my full story, and it has a section where people can leave their email, and I have, as I mentioned, a weekly newsletter.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, the last newsletter, it was about self-sabotaging.
Right.
When people sabotage, always issues which are for people with mental illness, which are existential, we are spiritual, practical wisdom. It's a weekly newsletter. I don't sell things. I don't overwhelm you with emails and things like that. You are going to get only a weekly email, which is a newsletter. That's all. Okay. Yeah. I announce seminars I give. Okay. And I'm going to be announcing the book when it comes out in a few months. And as I mentioned, it's an invitation. Really, it's a gate. It's a gate to participation, and is each chapter on self-esteem, on shame, on wholeness are individual chapters. You can read the entire book, or you can just read a chapter that talks to you. Yeah. Okay, there's a chapter on diagnosis. How do you deal with having a diagnosis? Yeah. There's a chapter on taking your medication. How do you deal with the process of taking your pills?
Right.
There are quotes, spiritual wisdom, practical wisdom, scientific evidence, and every section of each chapter has a link to participation, and the last chapter is an open chapter where people can suggest what the next chapter should be. Okay, any topic they want to add, because the book is not finished. The book actually should have more chapters which are going to be written by participation.
Right, I see.
I'm so excited about that.
Yeah. Could you give us an idea?
People are going to be able to do it by just giving their name and their age. They don't have to disclose the last name. They can be, clearly people with mental illness. I'm not asking them to share the things with the world. I understand privacy. This is just your name, maybe from which country you're writing, and your age. that's all, then you are not disclosing, but you are disclosing your wisdom. You are sharing your wisdom, which is the greatest contribution you can give, and to create a community of mental health wisdom.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Alfredo, I think you're definitely doing a great job out there, and it really sounds great with what you're doing. And really great pleasure talking to you, and thanks a lot for coming on to share it with my listeners and my community, which now can become your community once they get to your website and put their email in and find out more about what you do. So once again, thanks a lot for coming on my show and talk about this.
Thank you for the opportunity, Dave. And look, to everybody who's listening, you're strong. You're strong. You may not have given the opportunity to explore your strengths. You have them. Okay, let's find them.
Absolutely. Well, thanks a lot. Once again, thanks a lot, Alfredo.
Thank you, Dave.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening. And remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. Or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.